Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and I just got in a group of new slabs from a customer with a bunch of, this is all going to be NGC dollars, and what we're going to do in this video is just kind of view the coins, get a feel for what the grades look like, and just talk about that a little bit, and we'll go through, talk a little bit about rarity and scarcity in general, starting with this first coin here. This is a Actually, if you just look at the back of the coin and you see those small CCs, you could almost know right away, well, that's going to be one of the earlier dates. So this is that 80cc in an NGC MS63, and nice original look to it. Very lustrous. Has a lot of contact marks. Nothing to be upset about, but nothing to be shy about either. They've got contact all over the coin. I see a lot of coins like this that customers bring in that they think they're a higher grade, and I think sometimes they're just, we tend to kind of overlook the problems of our lovers, right? Like we don't always notice the fact that they don't treat other people well. So we also look at these and we say, oh, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. We have a tendency to kind of overgrade our own coins a little bit. So a coin like that retails probably a little bit north of 700 right now in this market as this is being made. And what's fun about this little group here is we've got a nice run of similar coins. In other words, I got a bunch of Carson cities. See how much bigger the CC is on those later dates compared to the little CCs that you saw in the first ones. Nice original dollar. I like it when you get that really kind of almost, I almost want to call it like a matted finish, but really lustrous. You've got not as outrageous of contact marks, a little bit better eye appeal, I think, than the 80cc. But this one's also a 63, has a lot of little contacts to it. And another coin that is a better date, so these 81ccs in this grade, similar, a little bit north of 700 retail on coins like that. Next up, I've got some of the more common date coins that in this market are north of 300, 350 still, but your 82, 3, and 4 Morgans are all going to be in that price range. So this one, if you look at it and you think about what you just saw on the other coins, you'll see a little bit more contact on the reverse, but especially on the obverse, it is notably a lot more contact marks in different areas of the coin at different angles. And some of them are heavier too, and that plays a role. It's just not the number of contact marks. We're not counting marks specifically, but when you get marks that are a little bit bigger, a little bit deeper looking scratches from the bag marks that they were in the bags together, you'll knock it down a grade, right? So you got a nice MS62 on the 82. I'm going to have to make room for more coins here because next up is an 83. And just use this video a little bit to kind of train your eye towards, nice unk coins, nice original luster, and how many contact marks. And that's just kind of like a pattern you want to get into. You want to be able to train your eye towards things. Another 63 on that 83. And we're going to go ahead and move up into the 84. And you'll see a lot of contact on this one as well. So far going through them. The reverse, by the way, on this, it's just one of those things where I'm the only human in existence that wants split grading, but the reverse on this coin is really nice. I was a little bit surprised this one was a 2 instead of a 3 based on kind of what I'm looking at. I thought it had, a decent amount of, open spaces, but it's not the type of thing that matters a ton because realistically on the common dates, 62s and 3s are all kind of a similar easy for you to say, similar price point. You get to the 85 and you start talking about a coin that has a much lower mintage and really a pretty neat coin overall. Now it seems like every last one of them still exists. Talking about surface quality that I like and the difference between one side and the other. I mean, you look at the reverse of this coin and the reverse of this coin is a 5 all day long. I mean, just at least, right? Maybe even higher, but it's at least a 5 all day long. And it's kind of what you want to see on your Morgans. I wish the face matched. I really wish the face matched. and it is nice overall. It doesn't have as many heavy bag marks on it, but it has a lot of little chatter coming up in the fields here, and but also has that same nice field eye appeal that the reverse has, but just has more contact marks. And this one they called a 63. You know, that's closer to an $800 type coin retail. Man, that's just too bad. I'm just going to sit and stare at the back of that coin for a while longer because it's just pretty stunning. All right, so this is a fun one because 1892, now when I see coins in the 1890s, middle 1890s, these 92, 3, 4s, 5s in mint state, I just pause because I always know those are the years that are harder to get. In this 92 Philly, it feels like these coins don't exist. Like, you know, when I look at coin collections and see people what they were able to accomplish when I'm buying older sets and raw sets, even though the 92 Philly isn't super rare, it's hard to come by a nice Unk coin. And this one, good luster. You know, the field behind Liberty is really open and clean. Above her head is really open and clean. The hair bonnet, everything is really clean. You do have some contact marks on the cheek and in the field in front, but the rest of the coin is really pretty open. The reverse, of course, is nicer than the obverse. If you're seeing a pattern, it's there. MS64, and in my mind, this is a coin that it just feels like should be really, really expensive. And it is expensive. It's about a $1,200 coin, but it feels like a $3,000 coin. Like, it feels like for someone who looks at coins and doesn't see that coin very often, it just kind of looks and feels like it should cost more money for how hard it is for me to find. All right, 1893. Now the 93s are all really scarce. This one is from the New Orleans Mint, and just a nice even amount of wear to it. Flat breast, but on this eagle, but you see a lot of detail in the wings. Not really any luster, so this is kind of that middle grade. Whenever you get to a coin that has basically no luster, but basically a lot of detail to it, usually you're going to talk about a coin that's going to be in the VF range, right? One of the VF grades, because you look at that ton of detail, no mint luster. VF 25 on this guy, something around a $500 retail type coin in today's marketplace as we speak. All right, so this one's a little tricky. This gets into something where, you know, certain coins, when you're learning grades, you kind of have to just kind of get used to what I call the look. And there's lots of the looks, right? So when I talk about a real high gem mint state coin especially, you want to know kind of there's something about it that sets it apart, and you get used to that look. And this 1897-0 is a better date, a tougher date, and you know, it has really full mint luster on the back of the coin especially, and then the front is just kind of not even baggy, although there are lots of bag marks. That's not what my eye is being drawn to. My eye is being drawn to the fact that it's just, there's not really what we would call wear per se, but you know, that MS60 grade is the thing that also kind of has its own look to it. You know, it's really a scarce coin. Lower grades aren't as expensive, but then Unk grades are really expensive. This gets me back to my story about that 1892, where this coin is probably comparable in price, and yet I consider that 92 to be a much more rare coin, just in my mind's eye. Let me just be clear about what I'm saying. It's just the way my gut goes. And there's a lot of dates in the middle of the series that once you get certain mint mark combinations, they're tougher to come by. This is an example, this 85S. You know, it's a coin that's not too expensive in lower grades. And then, you know, you get into Unk grades and they jump up, but they're not super crazy expensive. 85S, a lot of 85Ss have a little bit of a proof-like feel to them. They have that luster that you kind of see on the earlier S mint mark coins, but they definitely didn't survive at the exact same rate. And so a coin like this, which is an MS61, you know, it has a lot more of that shady contact marks in the field all around it. Lots of little micro bag marks and some bigger bag marks. Really pretty coin. Still a coin that's going to be, you know, a 375, 400 type coin in the marketplace. All right, we got another handful to go here, including a coin that's kind of like the king of Morgans. Maybe it's the Duke, maybe it's the Count. It's the Count. It's the Count. So this 84S is a coin that is really, really ridiculously expensive in uncirculated grades. I haven't owned an uncirculated 84S personally. In this one, you know, this is the type of thing that also can throw new collectors for a loop because they're like, look at all the detail. And getting back to the look, understanding what it looks like when luster is actually gone and wear is actually there, right? And so the difference between like the 97.0, where you actually, as you turn the coin, you get all that luster. Look in front of her nose, between her nose and the stars, and you see that movement. Now if you look at the 84S and do the same thing, you know, you see the luster moving by the stars, but not in front of her face. Well, those are the breaks in luster we're talking about. That's the wear point. This guy is a pretty tough coin still. This is an AU55, and it's a coin that's north of $800 currently. You know, everything's currently. You know, if you watch this video not currently, I mean, the price points could be, you know, marginally different, right? I mean, markets change. Some of those S-Mint marks, we're going to stay on the S-Mint mark kick here for a minute. A little bit tougher, 1900 S. Here's another coin that has lots of luster, but is missing luster kind of in those open contact areas. Especially, you'll start to see the fading of the luster where there's more open field space. So, like on this coin, you know, the design elements, so the lettering and the wreath protect the field. So you see there's just a little bit of that dark area between the lettering and the wreath, and then again between the lettering and the edge. But then if you look between the eagle's wings and the wreath, you see bigger open dark areas. That's where the luster is broken, and that's from slight amount of wear. This one NGC called an AU58. I would have called it an AU57, but who's arguing here? This is about a $300 coin in the current market, and these apparently are not all in order because all of a sudden I've got this 78S in here, which is not a rare date, and it's a coin that really is quite nice actually. This one is one of the few I think in the group, if I remember, that I kind of thought the grade was a little bit harsh. You know, for the most part, I thought the coins were graded well. This one, they called it just a 63, and I thought that was a little bit harsh on this coin because, you know, it's just attractive. It's got a nice look to it. There are not a lot of contact marks to it, and sometimes you'll see a coin get knocked down a grade or two because it has some kind of big scary problem to it. When we catch it at just the right light, you'll see it'll pop up those little marks right there on the cheek going across, but you know, and on the neckline, there's little white lines, but I don't find those to be that offensive, really. I mean, to me, this is a coin that's much nicer than the grade indicates. And by much nicer, I mean, you know, 1 grade point. So let's not get too dramatic, shall we, folks? 1902, and this guy here, we're going to have to take another look at because it's the 02S. And for some reason, I don't have my price point in front of me. I know that it's a tougher date, and I think it's a couple $100, but I'll have to double check. But you get this is another coin like the previous VF35, where you have a lot of detail and no luster, so it gets you into the VF range. There's a little bit more detail up here into the hairline than what you saw in that other VF25 coin. If we can turn back time and find that one, we can compare the two, and you can start to see the detail differences where you have the flatter hairline above Liberty's forehead there, and then on the one on the left, the VF35, you can start to see there's more detail in the hairline over there. Usually on the eagle on the back, also what you're going to start to see, it's a little trickier sometimes because strike goes into play so much, but you know, you can look at the two and you should be able to see a little more detail into the interior wings and then the top of the wings. You see that flat area there? And now you look at the top area here and you see there's a little more detail in that area on the wings. Sometimes you see a little bit more area of detail in the eagle's head, and those tail feathers down on the legs, the leg area feathers. You know, I'm not a oh man, I was going to say ornithologist. Is that the term? I got that probably all wrong. I don't study birds. 1903. This is a fun coin. This is the 030. This is the OG, the original rare coin. At one point considered to be the rarest of all Morgans until a hoard was found, and now it has the most incremental change in price of any Morgan dollar ever created. And this coin is actually more rare in circulated grades than uncirculated. This is another one where I thought, you know, they could have changed the price point. Well, it would have changed the price point. They could have changed the grade maybe by 1 grade. I thought it was a pretty nice. I thought it was better than just a 3. But it's hard because you do have them grading coins based on the grades around it, the coins around it. And since it's kind of a hoard coin, they come pretty nice. You'll see this a lot with like the 80S and 81S, where you find coins in a 65 holder that on another date you'd think that's at least a 66. It's kind of the same thing with the 030. You'll see that happen a little bit more. So anyway, this coin is still in this market somewhere in that 775 range. A better date, still hard to come by, just not as difficult as it used to be in the past. So anyways, guys, there's a fun group of new Morgans. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen.